It's race morning. I'm bright and chipper for 4 o'clock in the morning. Or not.
I know, we're gonna go out. Sit there, baby.
Oh.
And I scaled all the highest of mountains, and I stood at the edge of their peaks, but I still couldn't see to the edge of your love for me. And I walked on the wildest of waters, and I've sunk to the depths of the sea, but I still couldn't fathom the depths of your love for me. Canyons wide, oceans deep, can't contain all your love for me. No matter how high or far I reach, there's no end to your.
Oh, one of those mornings where I feel like I'm forgetting something. Bike's on the car.
And I rest some belief in the
Sure I got everything. Here we go. Hour and 15 drive. Leaving at 4:30 a.m. Transition opens at 5:30. I'm gonna get there just after that, which means I won't get the rack on the end of the rack spot. That's okay. That's the layout I'm used to. Kind of doesn't matter, to be honest. All right. Onward.
There's no end to your love for me. Beyond the stars, through the very breath I breathe, there's no end to your love for me. Where could I run that you wouldn't run after me?
Race report. Figured I'd do it while I'm doing my sunrise walk. The swim. I had planned to get out there and swim it pretty fast and hard. Data in my training the last couple of months told me I had the capability of doing that. And I wanted to have a strategy with a friend of mine who's on Team USA that beat me 2 years ago in 2021. And by the way, I'm a stronger cyclist than me, so I had conceded to the idea that with a little bit of strategy we could help her break the course record. It didn't quite turn out the way I envisioned it would. The swim start was pretty chaotic, and every year that I've done a swim start at Loveland in this particular division, it's with the men, and the men just are different. Like, they just have a different approach. It's a free-for-all, every man for himself kind of thing. Women aren't quite like that. I mean, they're still trying to get out in front and go fast and hard, but the avoidance of one another. I was wedged between 3 people, and the one to my left actually dunked me under the water, and I took in a big gasp of water, only to come up having to clear my lungs and not breathe that. So coughing, catch my breath. We're in an anaerobic state at this moment, so kind of surprised me, and I had to sort of gather my bearings, and then I got moving, and I actually swam pretty well. What I estimated would be my average, the first 500 was 137, 100, and then I turned the corner. Water's always a little bit slow that direction because of the way the current works there. And then the last push home was really fast. And by that point, I think I had dropped everybody off my feet, including the crew that I had planned to try to draft and pull with. Sighting was great on the way out, and the right-hand turn, not so awesome coming in. That's pretty typical for this swim. They mark the swim exit with this royal blue flag that sadly you really can't see. It's just too close to the color of the shade that it's placed in, and I wish they'd put orange there, but you just can't see the swim exit. So I was a little squiggly through there, but when I stood up, when I found my feet, which was about 3 feet from the shoreline, my watch read 23 minutes, so I was really happy with that swim. And then we make almost quarter-mile traverse up to transition from there, and my heart rate redlined through there, so I took a tad longer than I would have liked, but I had to get my heart rate down. Turned into transition, got everything pulled off. I have to sit down these days because if I'm trying to strip the wetsuit off my calves, I typically cramp. So we'll sit down, and then that's when Jeanette came in, and Melissa was shortly after her. Little bit of a word exchange between us, and I was off. Melissa beat me out of transition by about 30 seconds, and that would be the last time I would see her. And she just rode a great bike course. I would have had no hope to challenge her for that podium spot, and I knew it. Let's talk about the ride. Perhaps I swam a little too hard. We had a pretty significant headwind going to the most northern section of the course, which was also about a 3 to 7% rise in elevation, a continuous rise. There were very little reprieves through there from either the wind or the hill. And that was probably, I would guess, somewhere around the 10-mile mark. I did have some issues with my devices. I had gone over a speed bump right as I was pressing the back button to start my bike program on my watch, and because of the bounce I hit it twice, so it froze me in as if I were in transition 2, which then kept me from being able to see my heart rate data. That's not awesome. And my head unit was working for power, but it had defaulted, and I don't know how this happened because I had it set up in the morning and I double checked it but it had defaulted to indoor program, so it wasn't giving me mileage or my cue sheets. So I had to ride based on feel, knowing where my normalized power should have been, and my legs were pretty dead on that climb. So I get to the top of the climb at the basically rounding about the halfway point of the bike course, and I knew I was a little behind, and I decided, okay, well, I'm just gonna enjoy this because I'm not gonna catch Melissa, and I'm not gonna break a course record today. I can still go for a PR, but I'm not gonna break a course record. So the descent is really fast. It's really pretty. Get to ride along the hogback on this roller hill. There's 5 rollers through there, so some great momentum. And I was catching on to the men's field in the Olympic distance, so I was pretty excited about that. The better men, that is, riding with better cyclists. It was difficult to not find yourself drafting because there were so many bikes at that point on the road. So I just did my best to stay out of draft line and slot in, that sort of thing. But I hadn't seen a single moto on the entire course doing any course marshaling, so who knows if they even had somebody out there. Final left turn down. That can always be a dangerous section. There's a pretty busy intersection that's at the bottom of that, right before your right hand turn into the high school. And the cops do a really awesome job directing traffic through there. But I swear to you, every year somebody doesn't listen or whatever. And there's almost every year a collision there between a cyclist and a car. I don't think that happened this year, happy to say. That's awesome. But I do slow down through that area because you have to be heads up. Right hand turn into the parking lot to the high school with a couple of speed bumps and a quick dismount into transition. I always debate whether I should do a flying dismount there or just clip out and stay in my shoes. Yesterday, I elected to stay in my shoes. Just super tight, kind of worrying about my knee. Sometimes that flying dismount can challenge that. So they put down a piece of plywood there, and I think it's because they think it protects the grass from all of us. It probably protects the grass from all of us, but it's pretty spongy and it's a little slippery in your cleats. So that's something I wish I had done, was gone ahead and done that flying dismount. Got into transition, dropped the helmet, wrecked the bike, grabbed my shoes, and made the mad dash for the finish line, which is a little different than the other Aquabike formats that I have raced. Typically, when you cross the timing mat from the bike, the race is over for you. But this one, they want you to run to the finish line. So, gotta have a race belt, need shoes, because there's a fair bit of concrete you gotta run across. So, I think I did that in about 35 seconds. I PR'd the course by a minute and 35 seconds, so I'm pleased with that. I'm really happy with my swim. The overall average was 127 per 100. That does include my traverse up to transition, which kind of speeds up the data. But if I were to just take the 1500 of swimming, I still was down at a 132 average, which is the fastest swim I've swam since I came back to sport in, I gotta think about this, 2016? seems right. Really excited about that because that's a number that I need to be in the competitive field at the WTCS level in Malaga, Spain next year. So I'm happy to see that number, but I've got some work to do on the bike. I lost about 4 minutes on that bike course to the time I had clocked in 2021. I looked at my normalized power. It's really similar, but I definitely struggled on the uphill section this year of that bike course, knowing that my bike fitness was a little bit behind the other things because I've just been working so hard on running and swimming. So what's next? Garmin Gravel Worlds in August, and I'm excited to just take a little bit of the volume out of my schedule, enjoy my bicycle again for a bit. Y'all know how I love my gravel bike now that I've gotten the mechanical issues and the cleats all sorted. I'm excited to ride that bike and spend some time on my road bike too. There's a title to defend there. You never know who's going to show up, but you know I'll try. Got to give my best. Always for the one who made me to do this.